I think we have, I don't think we have quorum. Do we? Judge Corbett, are you the one calling in?
I'm on the line.
Thank you.
Francis, this is also charging the phone.
Oh, thank you. All right. Okay, I think we can start. Like I said, this meeting is being recorded and it will be posted on Access to Justice Board YouTube page. Please note your preferred pronouns in your handle. And let's go to March minutes. These have been provided ahead of time. ATJ board members, do you have copies of the March minutes? Any discussion? Sal?
Yeah, but I don't think we have a quorum where we can approve them. We need 6 members for a quorum.
I thought.
Do we have 6?
2, 3, 4.
You may have to save them for next meeting, Francis.
I thought we have 5. I thought we have 6. Okay, Miria, I thought Miria was the 206 number.
No, in fact, I think she said she couldn't make the 10 o'clock meeting.
Oh, okay. So we definitely don't have quorum then. Okay, so we would defer the minutes to the next month. This is vacation time for many people, so this is what we get. That's okay. In that case, we cannot take any action issues on the agenda because we don't have quorum. So the next issue is about reappointment of ATJ board members. And because some of them are not present in this meeting, they will not be reappointed until the next month's meeting. It's unfortunate, Judge Keenan, you could have been reappointed, but blame Terry and SP for that. All right, thank you. Now we're gonna go to Curtis Hampton, who is standing in for Pastor Kendrick. They're gonna give us a report about the Court Watch in Spokane. The Court Watch program by the Spokane Campaign Against Racism help us to have the community reflect on the justice system. They go into the courtroom, they are not parties or litigants, they just sit down and watch the proceedings and make a report. Some of the report they made to the Spokane County Bar Association Task Force on Systemic Racism was quite telling. And so the executive committee invited them to come and present this month to us, for us to see. And this is part of the conversation we have been having at the ATJ board with regards to some of this issue. So Curtis with a C.
Hi, Francis. Okay. Hi, Francis, how are you?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity. Full disclosure, I'm in South Carolina right now, and I'm having some experience some technical issues. So hopefully we can get through this in a reasonably fashion. Again, my name's Curtis Hampton. I'm with SCAR, which stands for Spokane Community Against Racism. Basically, SCAR started back in 2017 after an appeal was made to the Spokane community because during a particular case, there was an altercation between a Black gentleman and a white gentleman. And after the altercation, the white gentleman shot and killed the Black gentleman from approximately 30 feet away. This, of course, went to trial. And the white gentleman was not found guilty. And basically, SCAR is formed out of that necessity. We wanted to try to understand why harassment, assaults, and shooting continue to happen in our community. We must understand how things work in the police department, the sheriff department, at the Spokane Regional Law and Justice Council, and the judicial system. And so that has driven us to one of the tools that we have in our toolbox. We came up with starting a court watch system in which we started to monitor the system and try to not only educate ourselves, but educate the community. One of the cases that we ended up watching was a case that involved the death of a 10-month-old African-American child that was in the care of a white gentleman. And this baby was tortured to death. And actually, the individual went to trial and was actually sentenced to 26, 27 years in jail. Some of us felt that he was found guilty simply because of our actions, whether that's true or not. But what we did learn from that was we wanted to continue our court watch program and try to figure out a way that we can, again, learn from the system and also help the system improve. Myself and approximately 3 other people have been doing some documentation. We've also seek assistance from the New Orleans court watch system. What we'd like to do is establish our own court watch system in Spokane that would also have the blessings of the Spokane County Court. So having said that, I'll stop there and see if anyone has any questions in reference to anything I've said, and then I can certainly carry on with some additional information if you so desire.
Comments? Question for Curtis? Curtis, you also do court watch for criminal proceedings, and you report about the high rate of FTA, failure to appear. What's your study on that?
Absolutely. You know, what we've done, I'm going to pull up some stats that we've done for ourselves in order to, so that we can better understand. Unlike most of you, we don't have a lot of experience with the court system. And with court systems, as you well know, you either work for the system or you're in the system. We don't work for the systems, and we haven't been involved in the system in that way. So this is an education opportunity for us. For instance, on date 5/3, we attended some trial readiness dockets, in which on the docket that particular day, there was approximately 172 the people on the docket that day. Of that 172, there were 50 no-shows, and there was 109 continuances, which also resulted in 50 warrants issued. On another date, 4/26, we had 98 on the docket. Of that 98, we had 43 no-shows. And of that 98, we also had 50 continuances, which resulted in, again, 43 warrants issued. On date 4/19, we had 93 on the docket. Of that 93, we had 19 no-shows. There were 61 continuances, and again, 19 warrants issued. On 4/15, we only had 16 on the docket that day, but of those 16, there were 15 that requested continuances. You know, we've been having discussions about the jail needing needing a new jail. You know, so what I did of those dates that we just discussed, I put together some averages, and on 5/9, there was approximately 766 people in jail that day. And we had 88 people that went into the system. We had 69 that came out. On 5/10, The total population was 780. Of that, and on that particular day, there was 102 that went into the system. Only 59 came out. On 7/13, the population of that day was 729. We had 100 people that went into the system. 127 came out. And the last date that we did was 5/14. There was 545. 105 went into the system. 122 came out. Now that averages is 755 people per day in the jail. Also the average of 98.7 that went in and 94.25. Well, obviously, if we have the failure to appears, which results in warrants, and then we also look at the continuances that are requested, we will always be working toward full capacity of our court systems. And as some of us know, that approximately 70% of the people in our county jail is being held for pretrial. So again, we have many opportunities to address the so-called eventual overcrowding of our systems. So having said that, Francis, anything that you'd like me to clarify?
No, thank you. But in response to the court watch and all the data and everything, the system, I'm part of a work group in Spokane that we're using pandemic funding to start a pilot project where we provide transport fares to court users, especially to defendants in criminal cases and to victims of crime that are coming to court. We are using, for the next 2 years, we're going to collect the data. If we provide bus passes and bus fares from the tribe and from the reservation to court and from all northeast, west of Spokane, we believe it's going to increase the ability of people to be able to show up for court, because part of the challenge is people don't have transportation to make it to court. We also, as part of that program, are looking at cell phone. We are providing cell phone, free cell phone. You know, we will preload it with our e-courts and everything so that people will be able to access their court date and be able to come to court and talk to their public defenders and talk to their civil legal aid attorney using that form because of the digital divide. These are lessons that other jurisdictions can learn from Spokane that we are putting into practice that is really going to help us to increase attendance in court to address that concern that is pointed out to us by the community. Diana was raising her hand before me. I'm sorry, Diana.
No, I just had a question about, I don't know how the Spokane courts have navigated COVID and court closures, and maybe it's different, but I just wondered how our new normal the virtual world has impacted the community, the court watch.
From my, first of all, thank you for that question. You know, prior to some of the data that I'm referring to, for instance, in April of 2019, the jails were approximately at full capacity, which is right around 976, what I had on that particular day. And then due to COVID, there was a reduction. And right now, it seems to be, the numbers are definitely going back up. As I indicated earlier, right now we're at approximately 755. So we're fast approaching that max, but there's been a lot of Zoom opportunities. In fact, from a court watch standpoint, we're able to observe via Zoom. Several of the couple of the court administrators have been gracious enough to supply us with Zoom information. And we try to do this consistently every Monday. And what we do after we do our observation, we fill out a summary sheet and we send it back. And just an opportunity again to show the things that we've observed. and try to help us understand and also perhaps point out some things that a new set of eyes might see that someone who's in the system may not see. Personally, I think a lot of us would love the opportunity to view this via Zoom, because some of the courtrooms are obviously smaller, and due to COVID and the 6 foot distances, they struggle with letting everyone into the courtrooms. But from our perspective as an observer, for the courts that we can observe from a Zoom perspective has worked out just fine. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you, Diana. Anyone else? Any question for Curtis? I'm interested in knowing what others jurisdictions are doing. Chad, you have an idea of what others are doing in other jurisdictions to address some of the issues raised by Curtis? Are there any court watchers in your jurisdiction? Judge?
Sorry, I was trying to get off of mute. I'm not sure on the criminal end. I have to say, I don't think I have the information in the other jurisdictions. Sorry.
Anyone else? Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Will
Again,
be calling me.
my apologies. I can't see anyone's faces, so I apologize if I interrupt. But what I was going to say is that, prior to getting this court watch started, I made several tried to make several communications in terms of how to do this, and I was surprised of the lack of feedback that I received back. So that tells me that it's not something that it's certainly something that's not being available. The only person, as I indicated previously, that got back to me was the New Orleans court watch process, and we're trying to take what they're using to incorporate into Spokane for what we need it for, to see how that works. And if anyone else knows of any other opportunities, we'd love that, because what I'd like to do is to have us as a certified body so that we can officially work with the court systems from a standpoint of learning from a community perspective, and also hopefully bring something to the courts that they haven't actually picked up on. And for me personally, being a lay person, the continuations that are requested, I don't understand it, because there seems to be so many of them, and the criteria seems to be pretty simple, and that also contributes to the overcrowding of the systems, because if we continue to have more people coming in than getting out, and the schedules are consistently changed, we may never get to a point where we don't have a bottleneck in the court systems. Just my opinion from a layman's standpoint.
Thank you. Michelle, Michael, Diana, and Judge Kovitz, in that order. Michelle?
Thank you. I just put something in the chat. Actually, there used to be a court watch program in King County that was specifically related to sexual assault cases, and that was run through the King County Sexual Assault Resource Center. It's the best of my understanding that it's not in operation anymore, but I did put a link in the chat with some contact information for the organization that used to do it. They worked pretty collaboratively with the court. I think judges had to opt in, is my understanding, but it was a really good program, and it provided a lot of useful feedback for providers about kind of the trends to expect and just what it looked like in different courtrooms.
Micah?
I don't have much to add, just that I do have kind of an intern that's interested in court watch programs right now and is kind of taking a survey of what's around the country. So, in the next couple of weeks, I may have a list or something that I can share.
Thank you, Micah. Judge Kovitz? Judge Corbett is on the road. Judge Corbett?
Yes, all I'll add is that people showing up, watching, and recording the numbers, whether it's in evictions or whether it's in criminal actions or whether it's in people denied opportunities to get fee waivers, just keeping the statistics is really useful and is very important.
Thank you. Diana?
I was just going to mention to Curtis's comment about it would be great to get the buy-in of the courts as, kind of a partnership. And it reminded me of when I used to work at CLU Law School with students that we created a couple of court watch programs. One was to look at in district court on small claims court no-show cases. And we did that in partnership with the court and Northwest Justice Project. And another one we did was with the Immigration Court, which we did in partnership with them and NERP. And I'm mentioning that because I think when you involve law students who are volunteering as observers and you present that to the courts, they see that as an educational opportunity that they want to be a part of. And so it sort of, it seems like they might be more likely to want to partner if they're part of helping educate law students, in addition to what the data brings from the observations.
That's a very good idea. Curtis, I will encourage you to get in touch with Michelle Fukawa at the Civil Rights Center at the Gonzaga Law School. They will be interested in, at least the law student would also help the community to understand what is going on. Because it's one thing to be in the courtroom, it's another thing to understand what the heck are they talking about. So it helps for the law students to be able to say, okay, this is what is going on here. This is what they're asking for. This is what the rule is. And so that the law student will be able to help the community and the law student will be able to gain knowledge from attendance. So that would be something that I think that SCAP could work with Gonzaga Civil Rights Center on. That would be good. I will link you with Michelle on that. You already have Michelle information anyway. Right, Curtis?
Yes, I do. I believe I do, but just in case, I'll loop back around with you to
Okay.
verify.
Okay, Judge Keenan.
Thank you, Francis. Hi, Curtis. I'm not sure if you can see me, but I'm Dave Keenan. I'm a Superior Court judge in King County, and I want to say I appreciate what you're doing. And Michelle had posted the link to the former Court Watch through King County Sexual Assault Resource Center. I participated in Court Watch when it was still going, and I found it so helpful to meet with the court watchers to get their feedback. And so I would just encourage you, Curtis, and I think this has been brought up already, to to the extent that you can give the judges that feedback and work and talk with the judges in the courtrooms where you're appearing. I think a lot of them would welcome that, because it's tough for judges sometimes to know what the public thinks of what we're doing. And I think that perspective is helpful.
Well, I appreciate that, sir, and we will definitely do that. In fact, one of the judges in particular, I won't mention her name, she's been doing a fabulous job and giving us an opportunity to visit with at least her administrator to work out some of the issues that we come across.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right. Thank you, Curtis. Appreciate you, brother. Talk to you later.
Thank you, guys, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity. And again, I apologize for the connection issues that I'm having, but I'm in Carolina visiting my mom, and you know how things go sometimes. They go as planned, so I'm doing the best I can.
All right. Enjoy the fry. Take care of mama, okay?
Okay, enjoy. You guys have a great day as well.
All right, bye.
Goodbye.
Now we're going to go to liaison reports. And I believe Miria provided some liaison reports that Diana would deliver for her. Should I go to, okay, you got it?
Sure. I'm just looking it up. It's her liaison report was from the Pro Bono Council. And so I know that that Michael's here already, so he might be able to add more, but she just passed on that for the pro bono council, the major work is the right to counsel that was passed this past legislative session. And so that means a lot of expansion for the VLPs and needing to get something up and running. And the goal is to have more folks, more boots on the ground by July 1st. But Michael, that's what Mary had passed on to Bonnie and me.
Thanks. Yeah, right to counsel is obviously our big thing going on right now. We've got a bunch of other smaller projects, but I think that's probably the highlight for us at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle? No report? Okay. Sal?
Gender and Justice Commission meets actually next week. They have not met since our last meeting.
All right. Judge Keenan? Judge Kovitz? Okla?
Nothing to report today. Thank you.
All right. The Interpreters Commission is working on a variety of issues, GR11, and a bunch of other stuff that is really that we're in the weed about. But I will give a fair report next month. But we are working on so many issues that are referred to the Interpreters Commission, and a lot of rules change because of the fact that interpreters cannot be in the courtroom and watch what is going on, and how to do it in a way in which is respectful and still abide with the Constitution has been a challenge for the Interpreters Commission. We are working through all these issues, and we have some recommendations and all of that. And also, so next month, I should be able to provide a fuller report to everyone about that. Any other liaison reports that I didn't cover? Diana, did Terry and SP send anything? Bonnie? All right. Now let's go to Equal Justice Coalition update. Will, I saw Will. Will is, yes, go ahead, Will. Over to you.
Here. And I wanted to ask too, it doesn't look like César or Caitlin or Jim are here. So I can cover federal and LFW stuff in my report too, if that's more efficient. Okay. I don't have a huge EJC update. On the federal side, we've had meetings with most of our congressional delegation and or their staff over the past month. That have all been very positive meetings in support of the Legal Services Corporation requests. Cesar's brought this up before, but LSC is, they haven't submitted their official request for the fiscal year 2022 budget, but they're going to seek a little over $1 billion, which is more than double the amount that Congress appropriated them this year. Would represent a truly historic increase, and we're not super confident that they're going to get that level of increase, but hopefully there sounds like there's some momentum in Congress to provide some increase. They're also seeking another appropriation in one of the upcoming emergency packages, possibly the American Families Plan, to provide them with some COVID relief funding as well. So no surprise, but the Washington congressional delegation is on board with LSE increase, and hopefully can be somewhat influential in that effort. I think we had a lot of good meeting on the federal end. On the state end, no real news since the end of the legislative session. You know, we were focused on the $11 million ask for COVID, ongoing COVID response services that was fully funded. Continue to recommend to OCLA that the amount of, or however much of that funding has not already been obligated, should be granted out in an open proposal process for the Alliance. Remains to be seen what OCLA's process on allocating the rest of that 11 million over the biennium will be. And the other EJC thing I wanted to bring up was been working with a number of programs that provide services in King County, including with Michelle and Jerry and Chach's colleagues at LCYC, to seek some appropriation from what the county is getting from the American Rescue Plan. Hopefully we'll find out today if the King County Council is going to include an amendment to allocate a few $1 million for legal aid in the rescue plan allocation package they're working on now. They're going to work on another package in a month or two that we'll seek some additional funding from. And how King County is doing is sort of rolling out their federal relief money in this series of packages the council passes every couple months. It's been a little bit of a painful process, but a real opportunity, I think, to infuse some federal money into King County programs. And it sounds like at our last EJC state that some of the pro bono programs in other counties have been thinking about how to get American Rescue Plan funds too. So if we're successful and we hear, today and early next week that the council has included this funding, I'm happy to share at our next EJC discussion or with anyone in other counties interested in sort of the materials we've put together and how we've structured our attempt to get the county to allocate some funds. That's about it from the EJC update. I can pause for any questions before I move on to LFW.
Question for Will?
Pretty hit and miss, yeah, on the efforts in other counties. One thing I'll share, and I think it's premature because we don't know if we're going to be successful or not, but we've been trying to work with both county council members who are in charge of putting amendments into the budget. And I don't know if this is a process that would work in counties outside King, but then also we've been talking to the county executive's office to try to get them to just include legal aid as part of their proposal for the allocate COVID funding. So hopefully that sort of dual track process will pay off.
Will, this is something that has been my pet project for a very long time. We need to kind of have a platform for VLP and small legal aid organizations in smaller counties to be able to know how to lobby their county commissioners and city council members to make civil legal aid a priority and to at least include it annually in the budget, not when we have people that feel like it. So how to do that, if EJC can help us with that, with providing some form of platform that this is what you do, this is how you do this, this is where you go, this is how to prepare this. You've been doing this on the state level and federal level, just to be able to bring it to the county level. I tell you, there is a lot of missed opportunity there. And I think that EJC is in the right direction in helping us to do that. If we can provide training and things like that, and that will help to do this. Have a local lobby day that will be civil legal aid regional platform coming together to talk to their county commissioners and city council members about civil legal aid and inviting them to a forum where we address some of the issues and how this funding is so important to us. And that's going to help a great deal.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we talked about this at the last stakeholder meeting a little bit, that the EJC is traditionally active in King County just by a capacity issue. I think it would be fantastic if we were able to replicate the relationships that King County programs have with council members beyond the EJC's coordination of that effort, just from programs getting funded by the county for many years now. I know a lot of folks who run programs in King County know the county council members personally, and the county council members are very familiar with the programs, and there is that relationship there. And I think it would be interesting to take our experience trying to go after these federal relief dollars and perhaps trying to dedicate a future EJC stakeholder meeting or some sort of special meeting to at least talking about best practices for how the King County programs have established those relationships and how to start meeting your county council members and stuff like that. So Francis, I totally agree with you, and I think that can be a focus moving forward, especially because there is just so much more money being allocated at the local level than ever before because of these federal relief packages.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah.
Instead of building jails, fund civil legal aid. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
That actually, so not to go too much on that, because that's a really interesting point, but that did come up in our meetings with county council members last year around the budget, that for progressive local politicians who are seeking ways to invest in the justice system in a way that doesn't advance, cycles of punishment and incarceration, civil legal aid is one of their best options. So it's an interesting talking point. It wouldn't work everywhere, obviously, but.
Thank you. César is here, so that will take the burden off of you. Any other question for Will before we transition to César? All right, César, federal funding report.
I don't really have one. LSC is trying desperately to get additional COVID response funding into the human infrastructure, since they didn't get it in the first, the regular infrastructure one. I think they're asking nationally for something in the range of $350 million. We did, I assume Will talked a little bit about the whole ABA sort of LSC lobbying effort, but there are all these intricacies around the sequencing of funding, and the one, given the infrastructure relief plans and so on, the one piece of information that I picked up from a conference, some sessions that I attended, was that the appropriation, the regular appropriations process was probably going to be very delayed this year because of all these huge things that they have in front of them. But everything else is kind of the same. LSC by now should have submitted. I'm not sure. I don't know if they did. Their request for $1 billion+ NLADA has gone on record that LSC should be getting $1.3 billion, and a lot of that is framed around sort of catching up. It's been very underfunded for decades. And that's where we would be roughly had spending kept up with both poverty and cost increases. And we also know that the Office of Management and Budget has provided the Appropriations Committee that oversees LSC a 16% funding cap increase to what's available to them. So pretty far apart right now in terms of the request and the apparent range of what's possible. So that's all I got. Well, there's something that I'm sorry I'm joining late. I apologize, but that either you think needs to be added or that I missed that I should say. Okay. Yeah, not much, nothing new at this point.
Thank you, César. Question for César? Comment?
Thanks.
Thank you, César. Will you do Jim's report and Caitlin and Melinda's report?
I don't know if I'll do Jim's report. I don't have anything really to say about the state funding other than what I conveyed. Happy to do the LFW report for Caitlin and Melinda. Not a ton of updates on that end. They want to make sure everyone knows that we are going to be hosting fundraising events throughout this summer virtually, and starting to take a look at what in-person events might look like later in the year. I think the upcoming one is Bellingham Beer and Justice, which is going to be a virtual event with State Representative Lakanoff as the speaker for that one. That's in June. And then there's going to be an I Heart Justice statewide event in July, which is we're sort of trying to line up speakers for that now. That'll be a bigger event, taking the place of what used to be Seattle Beer and Justice, which was the biggest of the in-person beer and justice events, but for the sort of with a more statewide focus this year virtually. The campaign and endowment are sending out a donor survey. So if you are a donor, look for that in your inbox soon. We're trying to figure out if our communication is effective as possible to donors and sort of topics the donor are interested in. And Melinda wanted me to mention that you could win a $50 gift card if you complete the survey. So FYI there. That's about it. Francis, Melinda wanted me to thank you for participating in the endowment strategic planning research. I know that's an ongoing effort. And the endowment is also hosting another of their estate planning webinars on June 3rd, and those have CLE credits. They've been doing those for about the past year on and off. But I think that's about it in the LFW world.
Thank you. Question for Will? In the LFW world, I want to say that the endowments and the campaign, I'm encouraged. I'm really amazed at the level of, at the granular level of attention to community concerns and details to ensure we build a bigger and better program pie. Let me say, to build a bigger and better pie. That's the way to look at it. And I'm really encouraged by the kind of readiness to take input and to receive comments from the community. I'm really encouraged by the endowment and the campaign. Yeah. It's
That's
a
great.
lot of work. Yep.
Yeah, I'll pass that on. Thanks.
Yeah. So thank you for everyone involved in that effort. And big thank you to my good friend Sal for leadership in those areas too. I'm really encouraged. Thank you to everyone that is working on that. All right. In the absence of any other updates or announcements, Diana, anything I miss? I see Michelle is looking at me. Michelle did that. Okay. Bonnie, anything else? Sir? Judge Keenan? Judge Corbett on the road. On the road again. Anything else?
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Anyone else? Any comments? Any update? Any announcements?
I'm just going to mention one quick thing is to let folks know if you're a volunteer of any kind of bar entity or not bar, but have staff by the bar like you all, is they're going to be sending out a survey trying to gauge what folks' thoughts are in terms of what it might look like to move back to as things open up. And, you know, thinking about, do we want to continue to use Zoom primarily for meetings? Do we want to go back to what it was and we meet in person every month, or a hybrid? So, you know, I think there have been some silver linings with meeting virtually, but of course, nothing can match up to in-person things as well. So you could be on the lookout for that survey, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it as a group later.
Thank you, Diana. This meeting is first Tuesday of the month at 3:30 p.m. Next meeting is June 1st. Technology Committee, third Tuesday of every other month at 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Next meeting is June 15. Rules Committee, third Tuesday every other month at 12 p.m. Next meeting is May 18. Thank you, everyone, for attending this meeting. We'll see you next month on the 11th of June at 10 a.m. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.